Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, Shinrin Yoku, and Yurt Life, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, October 9th, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. The largest ever solar storm has been identified in ancient tree rings, and a similar storm could devastate modern technology and cost billions. Keep calm. It's boom time. Aid group warns devastation from Afghanistan earthquake is worse than we imagined. In fact, more than 2,000 people now dead as earthquake strikes western Afghanistan. Well, and the recovery efforts are still on the way. And there may be recovery efforts after two hurricanes will make landfall. Well, Tropical Storm Max has already made landfall. Lydia is lining up to be a hurricane in the coming days. So take a look at the cone of depression making landfall in that same region. Lydia is forecast to strengthen to hurricane status before it reaches west central Mexico. And Tropical Storm Max is already wreaking havoc. So the entire western coast here for hundreds of miles is going to be affected by tropical systems in the next few days. As far as the east, the Atlantic is concerned, let's go over there. We have this disturbance number 2. It's going to make its way up here and enter into the Gulf states in just a few days. And we also have high probability here that disturbance number 1 will make its way to a hurricane. Let's take a look what they're saying here about number 2. Who knew? Now you do. We'll quickly take a look at the models in just a moment. Here is the snowpack map. Many regions with 3, 2, 3, 6, and 10 times the amount of snow of normal. Some areas less than average, but we've got heavy snow moving through Canada from the remnants of Philippe and more snow coming from Philippe over the next few days. But a heavy system is going to be moving into the Rockies starting on Thursday and into Friday, bringing heavy snow to most mountain peaks that haven't seen any of the global warming goodness yet. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. That's Al Gore, by the way. Is it time to start worrying about an eruption at Campi Flegrei? Well, before we get to that, let's check out the forecast. Here we can see remnants of Philippe circling around east of Canada there. 994 millibars is going to keep dumping some snow there. And you can then see that tropical system to the south that is going to develop here and move up and potentially affect the Gulf Coast here on Thursday as well. So heavy rain coming in there. Looks like Alabama and Georgia and maybe some in northern Florida in the panhandle. So heavy system coming through. Tropical storm Bolavin in the western Pacific. Heavy rain for South Texas and the Gulf Coast late Tuesday and Wednesday. Tropical storm Bolavin continues to approach the Marianas Islands in the western Pacific Ocean and is forecast to pass just north of Guam between Rota and Tinian Tuesday and Wednesday. As a typhoon, heavy rain and high wind and rough surf are expected. For South Texas and the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, heavy to excessive rain from the remnants of Lydia may bring a risk of flooding to the region. And we've got frost and freeze warnings over the entire upper Midwest. So heed those warnings and bring in your sensitive plants and crops. Now the big question, is it time to start worrying about an eruption at Campi Flegrei? One of the world's most active calderas on Earth is showing increasing signs of restlessness. It's been weeks now. Does this mean we need to be worried about an eruption? Well, the answer is maybe. And so we're keeping a close eye on that for you. And the good news is that quakes in the past 7 days have been decreasing, and over the last 2 days have almost come to a standstill, which is good news. But that does not mean this is over, and we're keeping a close eye on the region for you and for those with interests near Naples. Now, a buried reservoir found off New Zealand coast where there is a 1 in 4 chance of a megaquake. A large earthquake in the Hikurangi subduction zone could trigger waves as high as 20 meters in parts of New Zealand's tsunami evacuation zone in just minutes, with no time for an official warning. Those in the zone should know the mapped escape routes to higher ground because they have very little time, and they should move immediately on foot after a long, strong earthquake. So head to the high ground, and we're talking from Hawke's Bay south. Scientists have found a massive body of water underneath the bed of the ocean in the Hukarangi subduction zone, where experts say there's a 26% chance of a mega 9 mag earthquake in the next 50 years. If that doesn't scare the out of you, nothing will. So take heed, Hawke's Bay South. The previously undiscovered reservoir more than 3 kilometers below the ocean floor is revealed in a recent published study. So let's take a look at that. And you can do your own homework. Subducting volcaniclastic rich upper crust supplies fluids for shallow megathrust and slow slip. And that means that a boom could be coming soon. And
the sudden movement of the seafloor during the earthquake causes a lot of water to move, creating a tsunami. The scenario is now
Okay, folks, let's try this again. My apologies.
The sudden movement of the seafloor during the earthquake causes a lot of water to move, creating a tsunami. The scenario is now showing the tsunami created by this large earthquake. Within the first few minutes, there are rapid changes in sea level along the east coast of the North Island. The tsunami moves in all directions. After the earthquake rupture, some parts of the coast may see a rise in sea level, shown in red. In others, such as Hawke's Bay in this scenario, the sea level would rapidly decrease, pulling away from the coast and returning with enormous speed and force when the tsunami waves arrive. This is shown in blue. This is because the ocean first draws down and sucks water away from the coastlines to later return. Close to the shore along the east coast, waves could reach about 10 metres above normal sea level in some places. In a few locations where the tsunami is funneled into steep valleys on shore, it might reach even higher, possibly up to 20 metres above sea level. In some other earthquake scenarios, run-up heights could be even greater than 20 metres at some locations. Tsunami evacuation zones account for multiple possible earthquake scenarios. In this scenario, the speed the tsunami waves travel means there would not be enough time for an official evacuation warning.
Well, and that is certainly a very bad scenario. So this information is just coming out. The links will be below to the paper. Do your own homework, and please make a bug out plan if you're in this region. 125 earthquakes recorded south of Kilauea Summit in the past 24 hours. This is an ongoing seismic swarm, which could be indicative of a re-eruption of the summit caldera there. In Slovakia, we had a magnitude 5.0 earthquake. There's no initial reports of damage or casualties, but a unique quake indeed. There is the quake in question in the Poland-Slovakia border region. We also had a quake of 5.1 in Afghanistan. We've got a 4.3 up in northwestern Washington, and this is a very scary scenario here. A 4.1 at 216 kilometers, followed by a 5.6 at 538 kilometers. We could see a big quake coming out here near Argentina in the next 24 hours. Hours of powers. And so that is the seismic report. Nothing else to report on except some disgusting frac quakes in Texas that continue to occur all over the region. Don't take my word for it. Let's just zoom in on a few of them here, and we'll show you what's going on here in Texas, the nexus of the schmexus. Here's just one quake. Do you see all these white squares? Yeah, they're all frac pads or oil wells, and you can see that quake is surrounded by dozens of frac pads and or oil pads. And the same thing for this smaller quake in the middle of the oil fields in Texas, the nexus of the schmexus. Worldwide volcano news update. Ducono to 7,000 feet. We've got Stromboli and more. Sabancaya to 26,000 feet today. Reventador puffing and passing. Sabancaya to 25. Mayon as well. Standard activity. Ducono near constant. Volcanic eruptions are persisting. Quite glorious there. Here we can see Stromboli, high-level activity with new lava flows. And Mayon. Not yours, but my own. Sluggish, viscous lava flows continue. And that brings us to the space weather update. At solar max, cycle 25, the sun is extremely quiet. We're at C 2.6. The latest HMI intensity is showing very few sunspots, few pinpricks, nothing coming around the limb, and the sun is, well, embarrassing us. The only thing we have to look forward to is potential coronal hole number 58. This will be geo-effective in 24 to 48 hours. Hours of powers. They do not have any enhanced geomagnetic storms, but I would say October 11th or 12th, we could see some enhancement in that geomagnetic field up to KP4 or 5. So stay tuned for the updates. Now, researchers identified the largest ever solar storm in ancient history. Lee and I have discussed the Miyake events and all of the new discoveries in the last decade, showing that events 100 times stronger than the Carrington event are pretty regular. In fact, 3 or 4 have happened in the last 10,000 years. Now that number has reached 5 or 6 in the last 14,000 years. 5 or 6, 100 times stronger than the Carrington event, have occurred. Now, no one knows what these events are because we've never experienced one, but the event 14,300 years ago may explain a few things, like the rapid rise in temperature during the Bowling Alarod. And if this solar storm were to happen today, it would devastate modern technology and cost us billions, send us into the Stone Age for years, maybe forever. Now, that event occurred at 14,300 years ago, which corroborates pretty closely with this temperature graph of a rapid warming of almost 15 degrees C in just a few hundred years. If this was a massive solar outburst, it could explain the Bowling Alarod warming, and then 12,800 years ago, an impact on the Laurentide ice sheet could explain the rapid cooling. Who are they fooling? It's not you. It's not CO2. It's the sun. Well, and then a giant comet. Probe blazes new record for the fastest thing ever made by humans. Now, we're not actually powering this baby. It's just rapidly spinning around the sun, falling through the solar system at an astonishing 635,266 kilometers per hour. That's 394,736 miles per hour, which is mind-boggling. You could literally go from New York to LA in just a few minutes. The event on September 26 marks the turning point of the mission's 17th loop around the sun, as it collects data on the heated winds of charged particles and violent magnetism that surround our closest star, and comes just under 3 years after its previous record of about 364,660 miles per hour. This has increased it by over 30,000 miles per hour at a blistering speed of almost 400,000 miles per hour. At these speeds, it's possible for an aircraft to circumnavigate our planet 15 times in a single hour. And that would be an hour of power. Plus the G-forces would be. Well, anyway. Survival of the newest. The mammals that survive mass extinctions aren't as boring as scientists thought. Yeah, in fact, look at this. Thernaxodon, an early mammal relative whose body has many new traits compared to its contemporaries. It looks like a Raccoona Aardvarkosaurus. When an asteroid hit Earth 66 million years ago, it set off a devastating mass extinction. The dinosaurs, except for a few birds, all died out, along with lots of the mammals. But some of the mammals survived, and if not for them, well, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. So if you're interested in this, please click the link below, and we will do a full expose on magnetic reversal news shortly. Freak of nature. This is a freak of nature tree. It's the find of a lifetime for a forest explorer. Tree hunter TJ Watt found the largest cedar ever known in British Columbia, standing 151 feet tall and 17 feet in diameter. These types of old growth trees are known in catalog, but they are seldom released to the public on their location because of their significance. And dumb people like greenies like to come out here and camp in them and do other types of dumb stuff. When reality is that for the amount of time this tree has been sitting here, could be thousands and thousands of years. I'm sure they'll do some dendrochronology on the tree and take some samples, but this thing has definitely been growing here since the time of Christ and maybe even earlier. Ancient Forest Alliance photographer T.J. Watt stands beside the tree named the Wall, an ancient western cedar tree, on the day he came across it, June 2022. This tree may have been growing since the end of the last ice age. So that is pretty important and pretty spectacular. Now notice how the 17-foot diameter tree gets thicker as it gets up. It's like 30-foot diameter up here. And that is a spectacular tree. What say you? The annular solar eclipse will turn the sun into a spectacular ring of fire this week. Annular meaning because we are in perigee, the sun is bigger than normal and the moon can't totally occult it. So you get this ring of fire effect. If you're on totality, you definitely need special glasses to look at this one. So please, don't do a Trump and look up at the eclipse without any eye protection. But on Saturday, October 14th, beginning early in the morning, the moon will partially block the sun, creating an annual solar eclipse and turning our star into a cosmic ring of fire. If you're in the West, you are in the place to witness it. And this baby is going to start early in the morning around 9 a.m. in the West Coast and make its way down through Western U.S., right through the Four Corners region, starting in Northern California and Southern Oregon, and make its way all the way down through Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus. It's going to clip Mexico, right through the center there, Costa Rica, Panama, and make its way into northern South America as it moves across many of the countries there, and finally makes its way out by the Amazon through Brazil. So please get ready and buckle up. The annular solar eclipse is coming, and no one is bumming. And there will be multiple live streams on the interwebs where you can watch it if you're not along the path of totality here in yellow. You crazy fellow. Now, if you've been following us and you're interested in the Carolina Bays and the cosmic catastrophe that occurred 12,800 years ago called the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis, well, the Ovid Basin survey is for you. Seeing the physical effects of this massive bolide impact and the millions of ice chunks that then subsequently impacted Earth will blow your mind. The Ovid Basin survey shows you where those impactors occurred in mass numbers all across North America. And maybe Ransom and I will drive out to a few of these in New Mexico early in the spring, ding ding, or in the summer next year, and we'll do some surveys to help out with the cause. But if you're interested in the Carolina Bays, you can join in on the Ovid Basin survey yourself. All the links will be below. Are you feeling terrible after your COVID shot? Well, then it's probably working. More propaganda. Thank you, New York Times. The COVID shot does not prevent infection nor transmission of the disease. It's only meant to make a pharmaceutical company money. It does nothing, period. And people who have COVID shots have gotten COVID multiple times. I've never gotten a shot. I've never gotten COVID. People that haven't gotten the vaccine are healthier than ever. But those that have are sicker than ever. At least some people have even gotten COVID up to 5 times that have been vaccinated. And that is insane. And a boom to knowledge. If you are that brainwashed and willing to inject experimental shit into your body, well, you've got some issues. Please seek help. Please share this video as we are shadow banned and we need your help to grow. Become a Patreon, support the work we do. Do not take the jab and be safe. We love you. That is boom.